Hey everyone, I am so excited to jump on here and share my ink and my story. And I have a special guest. If you will go ahead and share who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Alyssa Aviles, but my friends call me Liz. I'm currently in St. Petersburg, Florida. I love the city. It is probably the coolest part of Florida, in my opinion. And we're trying to move to California right now. I am a digital designer and marketer, and I do a lot of branding and graphic design. And I work with a lot of really big names in the coaching and the marketing space. I design a lot of funnels, what we call funnels in the marketing world. And it's been so much fun. It's been really cool. I get to teach people how to design. I get to teach people how to do funnels. I've taught with Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. I've worked for this guy named Pedro Deo, who's an 8-figure entrepreneur. I've worked with all these other like big name people, and it has been a wild and crazy journey, but I love what I do. I love getting to help other people rediscover their creativity. I love helping businesses launch what they love and get the attention of their ideal clients. So it's super fun, but that is me in a nutshell. And I'm a nerd, if you can tell already with the things in my background.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You guys, you have got to know this amazing lady right here. I have kind of watched her on the backside as she has grown and expanded. I got to be part of the first Pedro launch that he did and all of the things. And, it's kind of funny on the backside what it takes to get all of that stuff up and running. I mean, it
Mhm.
takes a huge, massive team. So
Yep.
thank you for all that you do and helping get
Thank you.
all of them out there. And, they have powerful voices that need to be heard.
Yep.
And that's my heart here. I want to be able to help people, even the ones that aren't quite there yet, that don't know exactly what their story is and how they want to connect with the world, but to give them a space to be able to do it, to grow in
Mhm.
it. Because I will tell you, a tattoo is a great door opener for a story. And so that takes me into my next question with you. Share a little bit of your tattoos because she's got a few and they are vibrant and colorful.
Yes. Oh man. I'm so excited to like talk about this because in passing some people ask me about my tattoos, but I don't really get to dig into this too much.
Mm.
And I don't know if you want to talk about this now about the power of story, but I talk a lot about this is part of my core framework that I teach a lot of people in the branding world. When you are growing your personal brand, story is one of the main things. So for me, when I simplify and I talk about branding, I talk about identity, story, and style.
Oh,
And it's the way that we communicate. And tattoos is such a fun way to get to tell stories. So maybe we'll recircle the power story later on. But growing up, I grew up in a conservative Southern Baptist home and church and school, and tattoos were of the devil. We can never get tattoos. You
no,
shouldn't
that's
do that.
not.
Right? Like only like bad rebellious people got tattoos and whatnot, but I was always infatuated with them. I always saw them as super creative, and I always loved asking other people, well, why did you get that? And not every tattoo has a story, right? Like some people just get tattoos because they enjoy getting a tattoo. you know and so but it's so fun for me. It's honestly kind of surprising I never went into being a tattoo artist, because in college and even in high school I had people ask me, oh, can you draw like a tattoo that I'll get? And I many of my friends have my drawings on their
Okay.
bodies.
I
My
like
husband
that.
actually, my husband is one of these people, where before
Awesome.
we started dating, he asked me to draw him a tattoo. He's got it on his
Hmm.
sleeve. But
That was his door opener, just.
yeah, yeah. So it's so fun. And I laugh anytime that people still kind of give others a hard time for loving Jesus and then getting tattoos. Because I look at churches, and we look at history, and we look at these beautiful cathedrals, and we look at these beautiful places of worship,
Oh,
these very sacred spaces, and you see stunning stained glass art, and you see paintings on the ceilings, and I'm like, man, these temples we're designed to be adorned. And it even talks about in scripture, like the gift of creativity and how God has given us this gift and what we can do with it and just like the beauty of all this stuff. So all that to say, I kind of felt like, you know what, if my body's a temple, I might as well decorate it.
Like, there you go.
So, my very first tattoo though was not very like crazy out there, colorful, anything like that. My very first one is on my wrist. It says Selah. And so Selah means to take a breath, to rest and reflect on what was just said. And the reason why I got this, and it's so funny, just a side note, like I'm a designer and I hate this font, but like back then back then when I got this, I thought it was like the coolest thing, but now I hate it. I don't hate the tattoo, I just don't like the font style. But anyways, this was my very first tattoo when I turned 18, and that was like my parents' only wish. They were like, if you're ever gonna get tattooed, wait till you're 18, get it done from a reputable place, don't do anything that you're gonna regret in years, all the typical stuff that loving parents, tell you before you get your first tattoo. But growing up, I dealt a lot with depression and I would do self-harm. I was constantly cutting and sorry if you have to like beep that stuff out because I know
Okay.
sometimes it gets a little
Grill and
sensitive.
rock. Bring it.
And so I was really into self-harm and I felt in many ways I just wanted to feel physical pain than the turmoil that I was dealing with internally and whatnot. And so I had decided then when I got my first tattoo, I wanted something over the spots where I would cut and something that would just be a personal reminder to me to just pause and take a step back and really see what God is doing in my life and see what God is speaking to me in the moment. And so it was very painful. If anyone has gotten a wrist tattoo, this is a very sensitive spot. You get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it is. Was it?
For me, I have them everywhere, but I will
Yeah.
tell you when they have to sit there and dig, I have some of my own experiences through the journey we've
Mhm.
got through. So yes, it is
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the first baby tattoo and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. I'm so excited. It's so fun." Um and so then I was trying to plan out like my next tattoo and I had remembered like growing up we did chapel like every Wednesday, it was chapel at our Christian school. And one day a guy had gone in and he was talking about the significance of vineyards and the significance of grapes and just like the significance of it in the Bible. And he had said that when, in ancient historic times, like when a king would conquer a land or, they would take dominion of a land, they would plant a vineyard. And typically that was a representation of victory. It was a representation of like legacy because vineyards there's a lot involved to it. You don't just like plant a vineyard and then like, oh cool,
Watch it grow.
it's gonna have instant results. Yeah, like you don't do that. Like there's purpose and intention behind it. And it represented so many different things back then and it still represents things now. And you think about how you have to find good soil to plant a vineyard and you have to be in the right environment to plant a vineyard. And then the process that it takes to grow that vineyard and then to harvest that vineyard and then to produce good fruit from that vineyard and how the grapes then turn into good wine if everything else has fallen into place. And scripture talks a lot about the significance of that. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get that tattooed on my body. So it is, I have a whole
Oh, snap. You got it all the way
yeah.
down.
It goes
I
all the way
love
down.
that. Oh,
And that was my second tattoo. It's on my rib cage
go
for
big
anybody
or
who's
go
listening.
home.
Yes. So I remember like meeting with the tattoo artist because he had done my husband's tattoos too. And he's like, Are you sure you want to do this as like your second thing? This is big. It's gonna be like 4 sessions. It's colorful, like we're gonna dig it. I was like, yeah, it's fine. I've got this. And so that was the next piece. And it's so funny because I always forget that it's there, even though it's like I'm sure you're probably the same way where it's like it's just so part of you now that it's like, oh yeah, like I have this here, and so every so often I look and I'm like, man, it is really cool to have this like I feel in many ways like like the Lord has shown victory with me, and that the Lord is using me, and that I'm a good steward, and that I produce good fruit in my life. And so it's a nice gentle reminder of those things. I used to love wine. I don't drink anymore, but I used to love wine and studying all that and wine tasting and all that sort of stuff. So that was my second tattoo. The third one, I believe, I might be getting the timeline mixed on these next two, but I think the third one was this one on my wrist, and it's just like an arrow. It's like half a compass going from, east to west, and it has these two lines across. This was a very, very spur of the moment tattoo. And this is because in college I have my best friends, and one of our close friends, her name is Jordan Stroman, and she had a very rare form of ALS
Oh,
and wheelchair bound, oxygen, like all that.
yeah.
And she had really wanted to just live alive. And so she started a nonprofit called Live Alive, and she wants to push the boundaries and see what she could do in the position that she was in. And so there was a conference in California at this time. We were all in Orlando, Florida. There was a conference in California she really wanted to go to. It was the Story Brand Conference with Donald Miller and Bob Goff. I don't know if you're familiar with them. But it
I've
and
heard their names and
okay,
I
I think you would like them. I think you would
think
drive
I'll
for
have to
them.
dig a
So,
little bit more. Fair.
Donald Miller wrote a book called Blue Like Jazz like years ago, which was
Okay.
very progressive in the
Okay.
Christian spaces back then. And then he went from like more faith-based books more into the entrepreneur world. And the story brand framework is actually a very popular marketing for he went all in on business and marketing, which is pretty
Okay.
crazy. Bob Goff is also one of the friendliest humans you will ever meet in your life. He is a lawyer, but you would never know he's a lawyer. He's just like super whimsical, super joyful, constantly loving, crazy in a good way. So anyway, so they were holding a conference in California, and my friend Jordan really wanted to go. So she was like, what if we make a documentary and film what it would be like for me to travel to show other people what it's like, and the obstacles that I have to go through, and the things that most people wouldn't consider, and for a person like this. So that's exactly what we did. I was a photographer then, and I was like, well, I
Okay.
could film and take photos. So that's why I went. My other friend was a videographer as well. And then, our other friends were there for support and whatnot. And so we went from Orlando to California. We filmed the whole thing. We made a short documentary. I think it's still on YouTube. And while we were out there, we were like, let's all get tattooed together to like remember this moment. And she had never gotten a tattoo before, because for someone with ALS, like, it's not like she's like, let's go get tattooed, like. And so we were like, Jordan, do you want to get a tattoo? And she was like, yeah, I want to do it. Her mom was with us, and her mom's like, okay, like, you're all convincing her, why not?
Absolutely.
And so we all went and got tattoos. We found a shop that could accommodate us, because we had to find a shop that had a ramp, and that was
Okay.
on the
That's
first
right. Yeah.
floor. Yeah, and which you'd be surprised how many people like don't have that readily available. And then we had to find a shop that would also do walk-in tattoos for about six of us. So we all just kind of randomly came up with, different tattoos that we would want to get. All of us had an arrow. We wanted like an arrow as a representation of something. And at the time, the logo for Live Alive had like two parallel lines in it.
Okay.
And so I did this one to represent travel, but it's mostly a memory of that trip that we took, that documentary that we made. And unfortunately, Jordan did pass away recently. And so it's a fun memory that I get to hold on to, and I get to think about all of us getting to do together, and how special it was for me to be there when she got her very first tattoo. Because she did eventually get more after that. It opened a can of worms for her.
They say that once you open that door, be careful because you're going to keep going. So it's
Yeah,
true.
that it's true, 100% true. That's exactly what happened. And I gotta look. I think if you go on YouTube, you might be able to see it if you want to see it. It's an
I would love
older, I mean, it's over a decade years old, but it was called Live Alive. So then the next tattoo was when my husband and I got married. We decided that we wanted to get Grace and Peace tattooed on our arm. So I have the word peace right here. And then John has Grace on his arm. So when we hold hands, it says Grace and Peace. And if any of you are in the faith-based world, you've grown up reading the Bible, you know that that is the greeting that Paul uses in his letters. And what's special about it and significant to it is that grace and peace was it was a greeting for the Jews and the Gentiles, two totally different, audiences, and but it was harmonious and it represented unity and a coming together of one. And so Jonna had felt like we both served different audiences of people, and we thought that it would just be really fun to be able to walk together in that, and just love people with wherever they're at. It doesn't matter what, regardless of like gender or race or political stuff, like we just love people where they're at. So that was our next tattoo. And then after that I got, I'm trying to think, oh, I do have a little, I can't really like showing you, I'm gonna have to send you a picture, but I do have a little
Yeah, I was gonna say, just put it up there, girl.
showing my feet on here. But I got like a little alligator tattoo. I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a picture. You can like you can like put the little photo right here. But that one is a very random one. That's like a not like it has a really cool meaning and story. That one is literally our tattoo artist is a good friend of ours, and that is a whole story which I don't know if I'll share that here, but her and I have a very interesting like past together. And so she became a tattoo artist, and she was looking for people to tattoo, and she has a very significant style. She's the one that did my arm. We're gonna get to my arm next. So she has a very unique style, and she is known in St. Petersburg for this very specific style. And she does these fun little like gaiters, and so I was like, I want one of your gaiters tattooed on me. Like it's just like such a cool.
I'll do it. No.
Yes. I was like, it's such a cool little like reminder of St. Petersburg. It's like a stamp from my friend. So that was like a just for fun sort of like tattoo. And then she's an amazing tattoo artist, like absolutely incredible tattoo artist. She got in the industry really quickly, and she went from being like a florist to a baker to a tattoo artist. And so she's tattooed my husband, she's tattooed me, and this is typically not her style. Like she still showed this to her audience, but she specializes more in like mid-century modern retro cartoony Disney Flash Universal, very nerdy sort of stuff. I highly recommend you guys look her up. Her account is the Peach Moon, and you'll see, once you see the very colorful, very vibrant tattoos, but in this really fun style. I haven't really seen anybody else like do that style. So when she was first tattooing and opening her books, I was like, hey, like I kind of have this idea. Would you want to do it? And she's like, oh yeah, like let's get you in, let's do it. So there's a movie I love called Jojo Rabbit. Have you seen Jojo Rabbit? Have you heard of it? Okay, so I love Jojo Rabbit. Highly recommend you guys watch it if you've never seen it. The concept I know is going to sound crazy. Okay. So it is about a young kid growing up in World War II in the Nazi regime, and he is growing up to be a Nazi. And to him, this is his life. This is what he wants to do. He's excited about it, right? But obviously the rest of us are like, oh. Now I know this sounds crazy, but this is a comedy drama by Taika Waititi. Very, very creative. I love Taika's work. He always does a good job of like comedic stuff, but also heartwarming stuff at the same time. And so with this film, right, young boy growing up in this world, and he lives with his mom, and his imaginary friend is a version of Hitler. And one day he discovers that his mom is hiding a young Jewish girl in the attic, and all of a sudden everything he knows is completely like, he's like, what do I do? This girl is just like me. Like she's around my age, and she's fun, and she's not as dangerous as people told me she was. And all of a sudden what he knew starts kind of crumbling down. It's a really good movie. I was in tears multiple times with that film. But there's a part in that film where Scarlett Johansson is in it. She plays the mom, and she's talking to the young girl in the attic, and the young girl asks what it's like to be a woman, and so Scarlett Johansson kind of does this like fun little thing, excuse me, where she does this little monologue where she's like, you know, being a woman means that you can drink champagne when you're happy and you can drink champagne when you're sad, and you get to drive a car and you can gamble and you can own diamonds if you want to own diamonds, and you can learn how to fire a gun, and you can travel to Morocco and you can have lovers and then break their heart, and then you can look a tiger in the eye and trust without fear. And I loved that last statement. I thought that last part was just like so powerful, and just like, dang, like I really felt like that was what it feels like to be a woman. And so I was like, I want a tiger tattoo. So there was an artist that
That is
had a
so
piece
cool.
like this, and I asked Amanda to do like her own variation of it. And this is my favorite tattoo that I have right now. So it's cool.
I
It
love,
really is.
I will be honest with you, I would have never known that as you shared that tattoo, it would go from specifically that to the ending to the movie to see, guys, tattoos have such a story to them. And yes, there's those
Mhm.
ones you get for fun or those ones on that you had a fun night and you got a tattoo.
Yeah.
But I love how you just shared all the details because the
Mhm.
meaning behind it speaks so much to you.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. So that's a fun one. And then you know, I love her style. This is super fun. So I was like, I had always wanted to do kind of like a Garden of Eden sort of like jungle-ish sort of theme. So I'm working on this as a sleeve now. So I just had her do
okay.
a snake. Well, not just. I had her do a snake like a little over a year and a half ago. It's very colorful, very vibrant. And we're going for a whole colorful
Playful.
jungle theme.
They're very playful. I like
Uh-huh.
the playful
Yep.
with them, yeah.
Yeah, and so like very colorful, very playful, very approachable. I didn't want anything like, you know, intimidating or scary. And it's very inviting. It's really fun. And so like I wanted to think, and I know like this in the Christian world is like, oh my gosh, you know, like, oh, it's so demonic.
Ew.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, like I've had snakes as pets before, and for me it's more a representation of like the shedding of skin and transformation. Oftentimes in very transformational seasons in my life, we have what we consider him our pet snake. He's not really a pet snake, but he's like a little, you know, one of those little black racer snakes. Anytime there's like something transitional happening in my life, he appears in our house. We've named him Walter. Um, and so like I just love though, like the concept of like shedding a skin and the process that you go through with that, and just like you're leaving the old and then stepping into something new, and there's something just so beautiful about that process, and then there's also something so beautiful about the skin too, right? You even think about when you go to get facials or peels or things like that, right? Where yeah, you're working to get rid of the grime and all this stuff, and now you're wanting a refresh, you're wanting to glow. So that is definitely a representation of that, and it has been very significant in my life since getting this tattoo. A lot of different things have happened, a lot of transformation has happened. So this is a fun one. So I'm still that is it for the tattoos that I've got for now. I'm still working on this one. I got to get in her books again, but she's super busy now.
I love it, love it, love it. So if you think about it too, when it comes to a snake, it literally has to shed to grow. And
Yeah.
that is our, if you, that's our transition also. If we stay completely where we always have been, we will never grow. And we
Yeah.
were never designed to stay there. We're
Hmm.
always meant to be growing. So, um, yeah, I love the meanings behind it. I love all of your tattoos. I love the color
Thanks.
of the different pieces. A couple things that I wanted to ask as you were kind of sharing. I'll come back to, let me think. You went, oh, the one of you and your friend. And
Hmm.
there was, have you always known that you wanted to share other people's stories? Has that always been something inside of you that,
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's always been there. It's been something that is the content that I think I also love the most is like hearing other people's stories. I think a really large part of this, I think some part of it naturally comes from being a creative. And because creativity is like it's the language of storytelling, and it is what connects people to other people or to things, right? Like there's a really deep level of that in the creative world. Then there's also naturally just kind of growing up in the faith-based world and like just being in love with Jesus, and Jesus's whole life is documented in story and parable. You know what I mean? Like, so I think there was also the fascination of parables and storytelling there, and how Christ was just constantly just asking questions when people were asking him questions, right? Like just like the rebuttal questions and digging in deeper and digging in deeper. So I think that's definitely a part of it. And then the other part of it is outside of painting, when so after high school, I was painting on guitars and shoes and doing a lot of fun designing tattoos for people and things like that. And then my dad had given me a camera, and I started doing photography. And I really fell in love with that because like photography is capturing stories and moments of time. You were freezing a moment of time to be able to go back to and look at. And I love going back and looking at a lot of my older photos and remembering those moments and remembering those things. So I consider myself a storyteller, just based on my experience and what I've done, and I love getting to share other people's stories. I to be honest, I have been really thinking about picking up a camera again and starting to shoot again, because as much as I love the digital world, like especially right now with a lot of the stuff that we're seeing happen, like storytelling is very, 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 very important, because there's a lot of dehumanization going on, and we need powerful storytellers to be like, hey, 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 like just like what I talked about in Jojo Rabbit, like
Yeah.
this is not what you think it is, So
There's more to it,
um
guys. There's more to
there's
it.
more to it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've always loved story.
I hang on. It's as you said that. I So there's some coloring that needs to finish with this sleeve, which was the one that I really started back when I was 24, going through my process and whatnot, to finish up my flowers. But I've been wanting to find someone that takes pictures. And once that's more completed, I'm like, I need someone to take professional pictures of me, of my tattoos, different things. I want to have a whole brand around my ink, my story.
Huh.
And so maybe I'll just have to come find you somewhere wherever you're at. Now you're in Florida. I'm
Yeah.
born and raised in California, so I got some family out there. But
Nice.
uh, I when you said that though, I actually saw you taking pictures of me and
Mhm.
like us. I just saw different pieces.
Yeah.
I know for these stories and those that feel led to get on here and share their heart around this, there's going to be more connections in the future. And
Mhm.
I have a feeling that some of us will be meeting face to face at times. So
That'd
uh,
be cool.
that's kind of my heart too. And I've had a vision of a bus or some type of house on wheels. This is something we did in ministry in New York,
Hmm.
but I want to be able to go and connect with people personally in front of them, bring them into, and let's have a conversation around your tattoo. Let's have a conversation
Yeah.
around you. And I know that this piece of it, my ink, my story, is almost like a chapter in the book that goes with,
Hmm.
because every single person has a story to share. So,
Hmm.
and this is the one that really excites me. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of
Oh yeah,
my
you should
jam.
do a book. You should do a book.
Thank you for saying that. That is a
Yeah.
journey for me that being one that struggled in those things growing up, and it was always a hard thing for me, but that's the one
Hmm.
reason why I need to do it and,
Yeah.
kick that in the face. So
You've
uh,
got this.
I love too how you said how you guys have peace, and you had the two different pieces of that on you guys.
Grace and peace.
I think it's funny because Alec, my husband, is peace and I'm war.
Really?
We talk about all the time, just making jokes of, because he does t-shirts and different things,
Okay.
and his heart around he's such the punk rock, he's such the different pieces of that. He has no tattoos whatsoever. And
No
his is
way.
due to perfection. He's like, if I can't do it myself, no one's touching me.
That's so funny.
But the funny thing is I got a tattoo gun a year ago, and it
Uh-huh.
has been on my heart to tattoo for a very long time. I
Yeah.
want to be able to connect with women, and
Mhm.
after they have, um, I've seen, doesn't have to be called a retreat, whatever it is, but I saw as a
Mhm.
doing where we come together, they get to connect and share their story, have a very intimate setting with a smaller group. And then I
Mhm.
actually saw me doing tattoos, prophetic tattoos,
Mhm.
and being able to give them something that they could walk away with.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, no better time than now to start this
That's
process.
awesome.
And he goes, if anybody's going to give me one, I'll let you do it. So I got
Ooh.
this. But the whole peace and war piece too is I've always been the one that fights on the behalf for someone else. I totally would have been the one
Mm.
to cut off the guy's ear.
Mhm. Yeah.
With Peter right along there. But you know what's hilarious? If I've got Peter, but I've also got Jesus. And it's like
Yeah.
whole heart. I so passionately connect with those, but I am willing to fight on your behalf for like
Mhm.
so it's just a funny dynamic of the two. It's like the dichotomy of the both.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
So, but I just absolutely love your heart and your stories and just seeing all the pieces in this short little period of time of like this is who you are. Like
Mhm.
this is and I am excited to see just yeah, you taking up pictures again. I think that's going to be a
Thank you.
pretty cool piece for you that personally is about you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I've been looking. I've been looking at cameras recently again because I've been out of it for so long. It's been probably 8 or 9 years since I stopped shooting. And I shot for about like 13 years. I've been in magazines, I've been published online. Like, I love doing photography, but like the Lord told me to sell my gear and change careers. And I was like, all right, I'll do that out of obedience. And so now recently I've been kind of like feeling I think it's time. I think it's time that I'm being invited back into this. And so I'm looking.
I'm excited for
I'll
you.
keep you posted.
Yes, yes, please do. So if there is someone that wants to share their story, what is a word of encouragement or boldness that you can give them to step out?
There's no reason for you not to. You should be sharing your story. Stories are what provide breakthrough for other people. I mean, that is like the core of it. Is somebody out there is waiting to hear your story, and they probably feel alone right now. They probably feel like, oh, there's nobody else out there in the world like me. And I mean, when you think about how many people are on this planet, of course, everybody is unique in their own ways. However, there are other people who have probably gone through very similar situations as you. And so your story is powerful. Your story is important. Your story is like your story is what has made you who you are today. And it explains the process of what you've gone through. So be bold in that and share your story because you never know who it's going to impact and whose life you're going to change with it.
So what she said so perfectly, be bold and just do it. Step out.
Just do it.
Um, and then I would like to wrap this up with how can we come alongside you and honor what you're doing?
Well, you can follow me on social media. I go by at the Lovely Lists on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, all the things. I think my Pinterest is the only one that's different because I couldn't get the username. But if you want to follow me on social media and just see what I'm up to, and I share marketing stuff, I share some social justice stuff, I share some faith-based stuff, I share some stuff about Canva and ClickFunnels. I'm a little all over the place, but that is my personal brand. I just share my life. I share stories through my social media. So that is the best way to stay connected is just follow me on social media.
I love that. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I will have all of her information posted with this video when I put it out there. And you can get connected with her, see what she's doing out there. Truly, she's doing amazing things, and she has a heart to see people, to share their story. And I am so thankful once again that you got to be part of this and share your heart, and truly a
Thank
blessing
you.
to me and truly a blessing to everybody else. Is there anything else that you want to wrap up with?
That is it. Thank you so much for this opportunity and getting to like geek out about this stuff. This is super fun.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again very soon.
Mhm.
Bye.